Welcome to Subway Sports Talk. My name is Peter Kennedy, and I am your host. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning into SST on Apple Podcasts app, Spotify, and on YouTube. We're here live to talk about, well, we're not live. You know what I mean. We're here to talk about the NBA playoffs, though. We got to talk about some NBA. Right now, we're sitting here on Thursday night. Warriors up big. Suns winning, but it's still late in the fourth quarter. I just couldn't wait any longer to turn this mic on and start talking about the NBA. Plus, if I waited, it'd be way too late for me to record. Let's just be real. And that's been the story here so far this week with the NBA playoffs. I mean, we've had these games that have been so exciting. We've had a bunch of close games, and every single night you're watching up late. If you're tapped into the NBA like I am, you got to be watching these games. It's made it hard to record podcasts this week after the games. I am a nighttime recorder. But we're here now, and we're here to talk about it because I have some thoughts, and I have one thing that's really standing out in my mind that's kind of frustrating to me about how I looked at the first couple games of each series that I know better. I have watched too many of these series unfold the way they have after one game where everybody makes sweeping statements about what's going to happen for the rest of the series, and so often we are just proven wrong and humbled time after time again. The Knicks are a perfect example. Knicks fans talking about round 2 and Giannis being hurt, and we're going to get the Heat in round 2 and this and that. And we got to pump the damn brakes. So we're going to get into quickly every series right now in the NBA. Just to touch on it super fast. It's not going to be a long episode, but it's going to be a good one. But right now, I just want to remind you guys, Subway Sports Talk is on Apple Podcasts app, Spotify, everywhere you listen to podcasts. So do not forget to subscribe and rate and review the podcast on your podcast app. That helps us a lot and really, really appreciate it. Also, right here on YouTube, if you're watching this, you can subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when we drop new content. And also, don't forget about social media at Subway Sports Talk on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, trying to ramp up the video content up on Instagram, TikTok, etc. Try to get some more views, some more clicks for this podcast. And yeah, it's an unfortunate part of this game, but it's a fun part of this game. When you do these reels and you get some interaction and you have a good time getting the takes out. I know for me, it's been tough to be super consistent with that, and I'm ramping it up. I'm back in. I'm getting the Instagram and TikTok going on all cylinders. So if you see that stuff online, drop the like, drop the comment, send it to your friend. All that stuff helps the algorithm so much. Like, it's actually gross and hilarious at the same time how much this algorithm plays over us, right? So if you see a Subway Sports Talk post on the Reels, on TikTok, on Twitter, if you like what you're seeing, give it a like, a retweet, a comment, a share. Or if you don't like what you're seeing, talk some S to me, man. Get in the comments and tell me that you think I'm wildin', that you think I'm being crazy, or I'm being a homer, or I'm a stupid taker. This is why everyone shouldn't have a podcast. I'm here for it. I'm ready to have debates. I'm ready to talk with all of you people who listen, because that's the one weird thing about podcasts too, man. You see the numbers of who's listening. You don't know who they are all the time. So make yourself known, because I appreciate you. Even if you disagree with me sometimes, I want to have those conversations too. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about the NBA playoffs. Let's talk about the New York Knicks to start this thing off. After game 1, obviously Knicks fans flying high, feeling really good about that outcome. Why shouldn't they? And game 2, couldn't be more opposite of what took place in game 1. We didn't know what was going to happen with Josh Hart. He ended up playing. He was not a factor. I had high hopes. Speaking of Instagram and TikTok, if you saw my reel before the game 2, I had high hopes for Quickly in game 2. That didn't come to fruition until it was well late and well overdue. They got embarrassed. They got annihilated in all facets of the game in game 2 on Tuesday night. And what does that mean? Is there a silver lining here to even make out of that loss? Because it felt like 3 losses in 1. And similarly to the Mets right now, where they have a great record, they're playing good baseball, they have this one series, they got swept against the Brewers. That was one series. That game for Cleveland, or against Cleveland on Tuesday night, was one game. So whether they lost by 5, 10, 15, or 40, it was one loss, and they go back to the Garden Friday night to try to make this right again and take a commanding lead in the series with one more to go at home. When I spoke with Zach Weiss on this podcast to preview the series, he's the host of Across the Cavs podcast, he was confident as a Cavs guy and a local New York guy that both of these teams will be able to win on the road. And I don't think he predicted that it would happen right off the jump in game 1, but there we are. So Knicks fans, and myself included, we can't go into this game 3 expecting a win. The Knicks have to play well. The strength in numbers have to show up. Brunson and Randall were struggling at different points of the game in game 2. Mobley and Allen playing great defense, a chippy, physical game. They're hitting crazy shots. Donovan Mitchell doing Donovan Mitchell stuff. Darius Garland, the man who was the star of the night. And I spoke about Emmanuel quickly and his opportunity to take over and put together a really strong performance to help lift this team up. He didn't really have the chance. But part of my argument was that with the defensive focus they must put on Jalen Brunson based off how he played in the second half of game 1, this might open up some opportunities for Emmanuel quickly. Again, did not come to fruition. On the flip side, that's exactly what came to fruition for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell got his in game 1, and that focus on him defensively was there, and he made the right passes, he made the right plays, and Darius Garland took full advantage. He looked awesome. You can argue Darius Garland is as high as the second best player in this series sometimes. You know, maybe if you're going full ranking, you'd put Randall or Brunson ahead of him, but in true reality, Darius Garland is right on par, if not better than those guys. And that's why it's important for the Knicks to win this series, win these games, is to be a full team, to come at them from all angles, to beat them with conditioning and effort because their bench is so weak. But when the Knicks start leaning on the starters too much, that's when the Cavs get their advantage. That was shown in game 2. So I don't know if Tom Thibodeau has to push some different buttons. I'd like to see some different buttons pushed. I think Obi Toppin's making some splashes. I think that Emmanuel Quickley is due and started getting going there in game 2. Josh Hart's obviously going to get his burn. Grimes and RJ Barrett aren't bench guys, but they're secondary and tertiary guys who need to step up. And frankly, it gets frustrating to watch RJ Barrett a lot of the times, and in these playoffs, it's been the same thing. He's out there looking to score, which we love that effort. We love his energy, but a lot of times we don't love his shot decisions, his decision making, and his shot making. There are times where you look at RJ Barrett and you say, this dude's a bucket. He's going to the rim. He's hitting shots. This guy's great. And then there are times where he's 4 for 14 and you're saying, dude, can you please move the ball a little bit? You don't need blinders to go headstrong into the basket, into trouble, where you're not that great at finishing around traffic. So he's frustrating. He can be. That doesn't mean he can't go for 25 on an efficient shooting night on game 3. It's important for all parts to be moving in the same direction, in unison, in game 3. And my prediction, honestly, is that the Cavs win game 3. And I hope I'm wrong, because I predicted the Knicks win game 2, and I was dead wrong. So I hope I'm wrong. I think by the time we leave Madison Square Garden game 4, we're going to be tied at 2-2, but I don't think game 3 is the Knicks game to win. They have to come back and prove that their strength in numbers are enough to outlast the strong starters of Cleveland. Game 3 should be in favor of the Cavs. They can steal it, but my prediction is that the Cavs take that one. Let's move on. We'll talk about the Bucks and the Heat super duper quick, because I don't know how much there is to say. It's a weird thing right now. Bucks hit 1,000,000 threes in game 2. Giannis was out. Number was 5.5. What's going on? The Bucks are minus 5.5 without Giannis. The Heat already won game 1. What's going on? People are counting the chickens before they hatch. And that goes back to my point from the open. So often in these playoff series here in the NBA, we react so hardly to everything, so harshly to everything. We see game 1 and we say, that's how every game's going to look. But a lot of times, the best teams in the league, they become more elite in the playoffs because of coaching, because of players who can make adjustments, and players who can step up to the plate when their number's called. That was the Bucks this weekend, or not this weekend, but on Tuesday. I mean, they hit 1,000,000 threes. They beat the Heat without Giannis. If you're a Bucks fan, you got to be feeling fantastic. If you're a Heat fan, you got to be thinking, oh my God, I thought we just had a chance. And now we're looking like, oh no, we don't. And there's a reason why the Bucks are number 1 out here. There's a reason why, even without Giannis, they can put together a performance like that. And it just goes to show that we got to be careful about this stuff. And we do it all the time. Every year, we never, ever learn. I'm part of the problem. I watched that Knicks game. I got excited. I said the Knicks would win game 2. In my heart of hearts, did I really believe that? I don't know. Maybe I did. But I know looking back, what I should have thought is that there was going to be a change in the tide, that the Cavs are too good to get stomped out twice in their own arena. Similarly, for the Milwaukee Bucks, you think they're leaving Milwaukee down 2-0 to the Heat, who can't really score much when it comes down to it? They play this ragtag type of game where they're physical, and they got outlasted by a team that didn't have their best player. The Bucks are going to win this series, even if Giannis misses a couple more. Talk about another series here. I want to get to the other 1-8 matchup real quick. And I got to give a shout out to my Denver Nuggets, because there's been so many questions this year about what they truly are. What's their ceiling? Will Jokic validate his past MVPs? Will he make it to a conference finals or a finals or win a championship? And these conversations have been had over and over and over again. And as we enter the playoffs, there's all this talk about the Golden State Warriors, who we'll get to in a minute. There's all this talk about the Phoenix Suns, who are obviously a favorite for a reason. There's all this talk about the Lakers, who might be sneaky, and the Grizzlies, who are a 2 seed for a reason. And there wasn't much talk about the Nuggets. Usually they get the obligatory, they're one of the couple favorites. Like, we'll see. But they're one of the couple favorites. You got to put them in there because they deserve it and yada, yada. Well, what I saw in game 2 for the Denver Nuggets on Wednesday night was their things are coming together. All year long, the big thing that held people back from saying the Denver Nuggets are a true championship level team was the Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. of it all. And boy, was that the best game that Jamal Murray has played since he's been back from injury. He did it all. He dropped 40. He went shot for shot, bar for bar with Anthony Edwards, who finally showed up himself in his own right this playoffs. We know what Jokic can do. His numbers in the playoffs do not get worse. He's been great in the playoffs. He hasn't had the teams that were expected to make championships in the past. And even this year with the 1 seed far and away, people were not expecting them to make a run. But if Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are making shots and Jokic is doing Jokic things, I think we have to start taking the Denver Nuggets a lot more seriously. And when you look at what's going down right now, with the Suns and Clippers, no Kawhi, no Paul George, Suns pulling away now in game 3. Yeah, the Suns should get by the Clippers pretty easily. But I don't think we should look at this Suns-Nuggets matchup in round 2 as some sort of walk in the park for the Suns. I don't think we should even look at it as the Suns to be favorite. I think at most, this is a series that should be looked at as dead even. If we can make it minus 110 on each side for the series, I would think that's accurate. Because I think it's not giving enough respect to this Denver Nuggets team that is coming together more and more day by day when those secondary guys, tertiary guys, are showing up in the playoffs. Aaron Gordon deserves a name shout as well. Monty Morris. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a dude who has had a weird career and has been that amazing glue guy at times and has been that underwhelming 3-and-D guy at other times. Bruce Brown. These guys are fits in Denver. These guys are energy every single game. These guys are playmakers on and off the ball. The Nuggets are coming together, people, and don't sleep on them because they might just knock off your Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. They might just face off in the Western Conference Final against a Lakers team who we can't trust, a Grizzlies team with a banged-up Morant, a Kings or Warriors team who the Warriors, they got a ways to go. The Kings are young and untested. This might be the year, people. Don't sleep on the Denver Nuggets. Well, let's talk about the Sixers and Nets here really quick as well, just because this game happened here on Thursday night. And, that was interesting. I still can't believe that James Harden was kicked out of the game, a flagrant 2, for flailing his arm like he's done for every play over the past 6 years. I didn't get that. And I got to be honest, I may have thrown down a little plus 105 money line wager on the Sixers moments before that happened. Is that creating some bias in me? Maybe. Maybe it is. And I'm okay with that because I didn't agree with the call. I didn't agree with the flagrant 2. Give that man a flagrant 1. Don't let the flagrants from Embiid's past in the game and Claxton in the game rub off on James Harden flicking his arm out like he does probably every single time he drives in that type of scenario. So after he goes out, I'm like, damn, he's been their best player tonight. James Harden's been carrying, leading the team in points, leading the team in assists, 21 points in the third quarter already. I was like, James Harden looking good. They need that guy to show up every single time, and they're going to win this game even though they were down at the time, or they were just getting close to even at the time. And what did the Sixers do? They buckled down. They play better defense. Tyrese Maxey steps up to the plate. Embiid makes some big defensive plays. Georges Niang hits a big shot. PJ Tucker, big rebounds as he does. That's an outclassing. That's what that is. There's some cuteness here with the Nets this year. Mikal Bridges, wonderful. Gotta love him. Gotta respect it. Gotta see him as one of these dudes who next year might be a 24-point-a-game guy. He has it in him. Their team's not bad, the Nets. They have moves to make, but they're not in the same class as the Philadelphia 76ers right now. And just like the Nuggets, the Sixers have to be taken seriously. But they have to stay out of their own way. They're not to be taken as serious as the Bucks with Giannis coming back, and not to be taken as serious as the Celtics who are taking care of business with Atlanta. But the Sixers are right there, man. They're right freaking there. If they stay out of their own way just a little bit, there is a great path for them to hang with the Boston Celtics. I think that could happen. I'm not even going to touch on the Celtics Hawks because that's, again, an outclassing. The Celtics are in a different class. The Trae Young rumors are swirling. It's over. Count it. Whatever. Celtics are moving on. I look forward to Celtics Sixers. That's going to be a fantastic series. Because in the Western Conference, we have these wonderful round ones with Suns, Clippers, Kings, Warriors, Grizzlies, Lakers. In the East, we got the Cavs and Knicks as like the premier matchup in the round one. In round two, we got Celtics and the Sixers, and we got the Bucks most likely against the winner of Cavs Knicks. That's going to be a doozy of a second round in its own right. So I'm thrilled about what's going on in the playoffs. Only one I haven't touched on yet. Let me do it right now. Lakers and the Grizzlies. Another example of everyone overreacting to game one and seeing the Lakers win. John Morant gets hurt. Now John Morant's out for game two. It's time to say, oh, the Lakers are going to take charge. They're going to win two in Memphis. This series is theirs. But what we forgot to realize is that out of any team in this tournament right now, playing in the NBA playoffs, the Grizzlies might be the leader in the clubhouse for teams used to playing without their star. John Morant missed a lot of time last year, and the Grizzlies were elite. John Morant missed more time this year, and the Grizzlies didn't miss a beat. They play just as good without him, and it's not a detriment to him. It's a compliment to that team, to that coaching staff, to Desmond Bane, to Tyus Jones, to Jaren Jackson, and dare I say Dylan Brooks. I mean, Jesus, this guy. What are we doing, Dylan Brooks, man? I get it. You're trying to be a little bit of a pot stir. You're creating some drama. You ain't scared, old man, yada yada. Lord, I hope, and so many people hope that LeBron is going to bury you in Game 3 in Los Angeles. But to give Dylan Brooks his credit, he talks a big game. And I'm not going to say that he always backs it up because his shot making is not good. His decision making is not good frequently, but he grinds. And he's going to be annoying and play hard defense and crash the glass and take his shots even when they're terrible. So listen, I'll give you some credit for your effort and your energy and your trying. But dude, I want to say grow up. I don't know. Change everything about yourself. That's how I actually feel about it. Dylan Brooks, Pat Bev 2.0, except Pat Bev is actually growing into becoming a little bit more likable over time, and you are just being a wrestling heel, which is good for the NBA, all in all. I'm enjoying it. But boy, is it frustrating when you talk that smack like that and then follow up with some terrible shots. Bruv, look in the mirror one time. One time. But it doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter what anyone says. It doesn't even seem like anyone on your team can change who you are. And frankly, maybe they like who you are because you create that chaotic energy. You create that variance of frustrating the other team's best players. You create that variance of turnovers and just wreaking havoc on defense. I respect it. Teams need that wild card. That's kind of something that the Knicks might be missing. That's kind of something that, you can argue the Lakers don't necessarily have. They have disruptors, but they don't have that personality disruptor. The Warriors have a Draymond Green. Honestly, a lot of teams don't have a Dillon Brooks because he's one of a kind and he's ridiculous. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. That's enough. But we'll talk about that series. Another example of people jumping to conclusions about a series being done after game one because Ja's hurt. The Lakers are playing well. They stole the first game in Memphis. This is their series to lose. It's not the case. We're back to 1-1. We have a great series ahead of us. And I don't know about y'all, but when I'm watching this Lakers team, as much as they have improved from the, say, midpoint of the season to now, LeBron and AD still can look gassed at times. They can still struggle to find good offensive shots. And for as impressive as Austin Reeves has been, there's occasions within these games where they are leaning on him just a little bit too much for shot creation. He's a good player. This is also his first year being a relevant player. We have to remember that. A lot of players who were in the playoffs for the first time, think about Keegan Murray for the Kings right now. He's been irrelevant in the first 2 wins for the Kings. Been irrelevant, right? Yeah. If you thought of Keegan Murray, no, it's his first year as a rookie, bro. No one's mad about it. Austin Reeves in that same boat, and the Lakers are leaning on him a lot. And that's why in that play-in win, when Dennis Schroeder came in and made the splash, it felt really good to say, oh, a guy we can rely on in this night. But the problem with the Schroeders and the Russells and the Troy Browns and the Rui Hachimuras, it's kind of a picking out of a hat of who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. Russell had his great game 1, and he was terrible in game 2. Schroeder hasn't made the impact. It's been Davis, James, and Reeves as the only reliable guys. Same thing for Vanderbilt, right? So I'm not ready to even pick a favorite right there. I think that the Grizzlies are a better team, a deeper team, a more balanced team. And with Ja Morant probably coming back by the weekend, if not, he will be back, I assume, by game 4. Man, I don't know. I think the Lakers have a chance here, but if I had to put odds on it, I would still make the Grizzlies favorite because that game 1 overreaction, that energy from that first performance is not going to last. And they'll get a boost going back home to LA for sure, but the Grizzlies can handle that. They might even feed off that. You could almost liken the Grizzlies' energy to that Hawks team from a few years ago, where they almost don't know what they don't know, and they use that to their advantage. They're not scared. They're chippy. They talk a lot. That could be a good thing. They should be favored to win this series. That's every series right there. Suns, Clippers, Kawhi load managing his way through the playoffs as well. Why not? That game as we speak, I try not to talk about that one too much just because it was live as we're taping this right now. But the Suns are now up by 9 at the end of the third. Again, another situation where we expect the Suns to take care of business here in this series. But Kawhi Leonard has looked awesome so far in these playoffs. Without Paul George, he's doing a whole damn lot. Norm Powell's got 30. I'm sorry, that's Devin Booker. Norm Powell's got 29 at the end of the third right now. Ty Lue, I would put up there with any coach in the NBA on his X's and O's, his button pushing in the playoffs. So I ain't counting the Clippers out because I don't think the Suns are bulletproof. And that's why I still like the Nuggets here in the West. So after game 2s for every single series right now and some game 3s, I'm looking for the Nuggets as my new favorite, my current favorite in the West. And I'm still looking at the Boston Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks, assuming Giannis comes back, as the favorites. So for all the fun we've had so far, for all the exciting games we've had so far, let's not take our eyes off the prize and start talking out of our rears. Because the best people here are still the best people here. And that may not be fun, but I think that's still the truth. And we have to weather our game 1 overreactions because we're going to get bit by that now. We might get bit by it in series or round 2. And we'll damn sure get bit by it next year when we all forget this lesson that I tried to teach myself and you guys together. That's just the truth of it. That's all we got. Knicks, Friday night. Shout out to my buddy, listener of Subway Sports Talk, Logan Soma, getting married on Friday night. How dare you get married on the night of a Knicks game? I mean, really, really selfish, dude. I'm just kidding, obviously. Super excited for that, but shout out to you, Logan. I'm doubting that you're going to be listening to this on your wedding day, but say you're going for a run and you turn on SST. What's up? Can't wait to see you later. This is going to be a great, great night hanging out with you. Hopefully the Knicks give us a win to celebrate while we're there, dancing, having some drinks, eating some nice food, and celebrating you, bud. All right, Subway Sports Talk. That's all we got. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review on your podcast app, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to podcasts, YouTube, subscribe, notification bell, drop a comment. We appreciate that so much. And more importantly, not more importantly, these things are all important. I appreciate if you do any of them. But if you go on social media and you're following Subway Sports Talk on Instagram and TikTok, Twitter, whatever, or if you never did, please do so. If you see some content, give it a like, give it a share, send it to your friends, talk some smack to me in the comments. Tell me I'm great in the comments. I like both things. I like compliments. That's cool too. So just interaction is great. Help the algorithm, catch off with some of our content. I appreciate it, man, because it's a grind out here, putting the content together during a full-time job and whatnot. So we're having fun with it. I'm going to keep doing it with the content on social media, so feel free to engage there. But we'll be back with a better episode next week. Not a better episode, another episode. Talking a little NFL draft. How you doing? Snuck up on us. That's exciting. And obviously more NBA playoffs, more Knicks, and then Mets and Yankees will probably take a back seat for another week or two. We'll be back. It's a peak level season for sports right now, and I'm excited to be here talking to y'all. So thanks for listening, Subway Sports Talk. Cheers.